The walls trembled. Dust rained down from the ceiling as the very air shook. Theseus and the Minotaur rose almost in unison. The monster's breath, a harsh mix of fear and rage, cut through the maze's stale air. Like a bolt of lightning, the bull's horn shot toward Theseus. He caught it with both hands, his arms shaking, his feet slipping on the dusty stone floor. He felt a suffocating pressure as the creature drove him back toward the wall. The monster's immense power surged, and the cold stone of the labyrinth slammed into his shoulders. But in that instant, a memory flashed in his mind. The bull of Marathon. He remembered the fear he felt then, and how he had overcome it. This was no different. Shifting his momentum, he used the monster's own force against it, twisting himself with the horns and hurling the beast to the side. The Minotaur let out a guttural roar as its massive body crashed into the opposite wall, a sound that echoed and multiplied through the winding passages. But the roar quickly turned into a bellow of fury. The Minotaur kicked off the wall, using the rebound to charge again, faster and more ferociously than before. Theseus barely managed to raise his shield to meet the onslaught. The impact was deafening. A section of the maze wall collapsed under the force, showering them with stone. Theseus was thrown back, his body hitting the wall, but the fire in his eyes never wavered. The monster roared again, leaping high into the air, aiming to crush him where he lay. Theseus rolled aside just in time, his hand finding the grip of the Minotaur's own fallen axe. He scrambled to his feet and swung with all his might, striking the monster's leg. The beast cried in agony, but its rage was stronger. It kicked out, shattering the axe into a dozen pieces that flew across the chamber. Theseus raised his shield to protect himself, but the Minotaur's next blow was too powerful. The shield was ripped from his grasp and splintered in two. For a heartbeat, the air grew still, a momentary silence in the storm. Now, weaponless, Theseus clenched his fists. He lunged forward, his fist connecting squarely with the monster's face. The beast staggered back. Theseus didn't waste the opening. He sprinted toward the wall where Minos's ceremonial spear was mounted. The monster, recovering, changed direction and charged after him. It was a desperate race. Almost at the same instant, their hands closed around the spear. An immense struggle of wills erupted, their raw strength clashing. The spear strained, the wall around it cracking under the pressure. Theseus's eyes burned like flames. Was it the weapon that would break, or his fate? With a sharp crack, the spear of Minos shattered. The bladed tip remained in Theseus's hand, the long shaft in the Minotaur's. They threw themselves at each other one last time. A short breath, a final, brutal crash. The wooden shaft grazed Theseus's arm, leaving a raw red mark. But the spear blade, held tight in his fist, plunged deep into the monster's throat. The creature's massive body arched backward. Theseus, clutching his injured arm, struggled to catch his breath, but refused to fall. The Minotaur's eyes went wide, and it slowly, heavily, collapsed to the floor. For a long moment, the labyrinth was utterly silent. Theseus began to search for a way out, for a glimmer of light in the crumbling darkness. He couldn't see the thread, Then a single beam of sunlight reflected off Ariadne's diadem padrois into the gloom. Following the light, he found the thread snagged between fallen stones. Ariadne, he murmured, a breath of relief escaping his lips. But a low, ragged gasp came from behind him. It was the Minotaur, running on pure, primal instinct. The monster dragged its broken body up for one final, desperate rush. It slammed into Theseus from behind, pinning him against the wall. More stones rained down, but this time Theseus did not let go of the thread. He rose again from the rubble. He approached the fallen monster and attacked with a relentless barrage of fists and feet. This wasn't human anger anymore. It was the raw, wild instinct for survival. At last, the monster's body stilled forever. Its breath, its shadow, its curse, all gone. Theseus stood over it, catching his breath. His fight was over. Now only silence remained. He began to rewind the thread, moving toward the light. Outside in the royal garden, Ariadne heard the roar cease and put her hands together. "It's over," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Beside her, her sister Phaedra watched with a quiet, envious gaze. Inside the palace, the tension was thick. King Minos spoke slowly, his voice heavy. "The monster's cries have stopped. Theseus, he has done it." Beside him, Daedalus, the labyrinth's creator, took a quiet breath and allowed himself a small, weary smile. At last, he said, "The curse of my creation is over." But Catreus, a young Cretan prince, trembled with rage. Now Crete's power will fall to this prince of Athens. Deucalion, another prince, shook his head. "No, the king of Crete is still our father Minos, and one day I will be the one to succeed him. Theseus will return to Athens." Just then, Hippothune, the young king of Eleusis, spoke up. As promised, now that Theseus has defeated the Minotaur, the treaty of tribute for Athens is over. As king of Eleusis, I wish for this to be confirmed by the king of Crete. Minos, after a moment's silence, nodded. His eyes held a mixture of fatigue, relief, and a strange, distant regret. But Catreus's anger was not so easily quelled. He gritted his teeth. "Neither Deucalion nor Theseus will block my path." "It is not too late." Deucalion glared at him. "Theseus is a man of his word. You must not fight him." Catreus just smiled, a cruel, cunning smile. "The labyrinth is not yet closed. It may yet keep Theseus inside it. Forever." The words a chill in the air. Daedalus was horrified. "No, you can't mean to reawaken the labyrinth's curse." Hippothune stared in disbelief. "Catreus, what are you saying?" Catreus laughed. And at that moment, Ariadne and Phaedra burst into the room. He pointed at Ariadne. "I saw her give Theseus her diadem. Its light will illuminate the entrance. If that light disappears, Theseus will be lost in the darkness forever." "No," Ariadne cried, staring at the empty staircase. Deep in the labyrinth, Theseus was still walking through the dark. In front of him, the thread glowed faintly, illuminated by the distant reflected light of Ariadne's diadem. He stepped slowly but firmly, moving toward that single point of hope. The labyrinth would fall completely silent only when his footsteps finally stopped. Thank you for joining us for this tale. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more legends brought to life. See you next time.